Hey, everybody. Welcome to She Smart. This is a very special episode, the holiday episode, with my sister, Christina. And she's on.
Hi, everybody.
Christina lives in California with my niece and nephew, Aubrey and Miles, and her husband, Noah, who we lovingly call Zio. Throughout the episode, you will hear me refer to Christina as sister because over the years, I've stopped calling her by her name. I don't know when that started.
I think it's probably been at least 2 decades.
At least 2 decades. Yeah.
Right.
It's a good name. So we call each other sister. This is a very special episode because it's our Christmas episode. It's actually my birthday as we are recording this. And sister's package to everyone came today. And so did my birthday present. So I would like to open this with everyone and talk about what's in it. But we will get to that. It smells amazing. There's really some special treats in here. We're going to open it and talk about all the pieces in there because a lot of this is just you and who you are as a person. Christina lives about 7 minutes from our parents. So thanks for taking that one, sister.
7 minutes drive really fast.
When I drive 7 minutes, it's supposed to be 10.
We were actually over there. I was feeling Lala's essence the last couple days. And I celebrate winter solstice. My kids also celebrate the Yule as well as they celebrate Christmas. So we kind of blend. Lala always used to go get Italian cookies in a pink bakery box every party. So tomorrow night, we're going to go have Christmas Eve at Auntie Sandy, Uncle Steve's. And I was like, oh my gosh, I felt Lala and I need to La Befana the shit out of this. And I'm going to go get the Christmas cookies. We went to San Francisco this morning to a very special little Italian bakery. Like the box actually has the red, green, and white flag on it. We did all of our grocery shopping this morning too. We went to Berkeley Bowl and did all the fun things. San Francisco was our first hit. We went straight out at 8:40 this morning. Flew into San Francisco. It was so cool.
No traffic?
Not going over. We flew over and we got a few pounds of all the Lala cookies.
Okay.
And we came home and we boxed them all and ribboned them for everyone's Christmas present for tomorrow night.
So cute.
It was so sweet. On the way back, the reason I brought this up was because we stopped. There were chocolate eclairs filled with whipped cream. We bought Daddy 2 chocolate eclairs and dropped them off on the way home, to which I called because no one has responded to the delivery. And Daddy didn't know he was supposed to open the box that literally is a pastry box. So I called and I said, Mama, did Daddy open the box? And she's like, what box? And I was like, the one we dropped off. And she's like, oh, he's supposed to open it? I'm like, yeah, have him open it because he might need to put it in the fridge if he's not going to eat it right away. So hopefully he'd open the box. But that makes me think of them too as just chocolate eclairs.
So Lala was sister and I's aunt, our dad's sister. And now sister is Lala. Don't get confused. We all took different names when we had kids. I had the first kid and sister was like, I'll be Lala. I'm like, that's great. I will be Sissy. Her kids call me Sissy and my kids call Christina Lala. So there are a lot of different names.
The whole group knows the name calling was very important to Maria. Sister really wanted everyone to have names. So it wasn't that you got to decide your name per se. It was more that you were designated a couple options, and Noah, who's not Italian at all, became Zio.
Yep.
Because still like, why the fuck am I a Zio? And we're like, because that's what Maria said you were. You have to run with her.
And poor Ben is just Uncle Ben. He has no special name.
Ben, he's such an Uncle Ben. He couldn't be anything more just like Uncle Benny.
He is
Uncle Benny would be a great add-on to his name.
That's a shout out to my friend Amanda down the street, whose son is named Benny. And we joke that Benny was named after Ben.
that could be a story in itself.
That could be though. So this episode is dropping on December 26th, which is Boxing Day for our UK friends.
Yes, and we celebrate that too.
So you celebrate Boxing Day. What is Boxing Day? And what do you do on Boxing Day?
We're going to the beach on Boxing Day.
Okay, that makes sense.
My understanding of Boxing Day is that in the United Kingdom, the royalty would have the people working for them on the Christmas day. Most of those parents, adults, were obligated to be working. When they finished their shifts, they were given what was considered maybe the leftovers to box and bring home to their families. And they would celebrate with beautiful assortments of yummy, delicious things, but they were boxed and they were, dispersed to their employees. And then they brought them home. And then the next day they celebrated with their families. If I were to put a little glitter and sprinkle on it, hopefully they were all choosing to be working.
I would hope so.
Or getting luxurious tips and gifts. And then they go home to their family. And by the end of Christmas Day, they were still with their family. I do know that Noah's family, when grandma was still alive, we actually would have Christmas the day after. There was always some fun thing they tried to plan on Boxing Day.
Yeah,
so shout out to Mom
Yeah, Mamu up in
and
heaven.
AV.
I reached out to Danny and Tia because I really wanted them to pop in on the episode because I thought it would be super fun. Danny and Tia, we all grew up together in our hometown and we spent holidays together. Our parents were friends. We spent a lot of our lives together. They're really our sisters, our family. So Tia wants to know what your favorite memory is of our crazy Christmases together.
Let's just say this. I was usually stoned at most of our family holiday gatherings. So now looking back on it, there's a little bit of patchiness in deciphering it. Although, I love getting high. So I thank you for that moment, those moments in my life where I was doing that more and didn't have as much responsibility as I do now. But I remember specifically being at the table at Mommy and Daddy's house Christmas Day, Ted bringing over Boilo. Mm-hmm. By like an hour in, there wasn't a whole lot of like sitting upness. And then you have to like actually get to the meal part where there's a lot of laughing, there's a lot of joking. And I just remember being the Christmas that we also decorated gingerbread houses.
In the dining room.
Yes. And we were paired up. The houses looked somewhere between a Christmas workshop gone wrong and anarchy of a brothel, with movement and dancing, bodies, icing everywhere, candy being eaten rather than placed, foul mouths, and total laughter being so high that everything was snorting funny. That's probably one of the biggest ones. Getting through dinner with all of us, I don't recall most of the meals.
No, so I remember the meals. I didn't partake in the high that you did. My controlling nature didn't appreciate it the way you did. I'm pretty sure that my gingerbread house had Santa humping a reindeer of some sort because anything that was created, there was someone humping something. Do you remember going to Uncle Yu's? There's a restaurant next to our town in Lafayette, and it's called Uncle Yu's. For all the California peeps, you know what I'm talking about. And in their drinks, we had Shirley Temple's Coca-Cola and Sprite. They always gave you a tiny little plastic monkey.
Yes.
Plastic monkey, all different colors. And it would hang.
Monkeys.
It would hang on the side of your glass, right? When it got here. I remember taking all of them and putting them together so that they all look like there was a humping train going on down the table. It always turned into that. It never stopped. It always turned into that.
How beautiful was the amount of laughing and silliness? Like there was so much silliness. I think we're still like that with our kids. We're so open in the discussion. They hear everything that's happening. And sometimes you forget those little ears. Mm. But I feel like we were given a childhood of being aware of where the world was all the time. Mm-hmm. There was always commentary and laughter on any situation that was happening. Sometimes the scary things, sometimes the great fun things too. I don't feel like we ever had to worry.
No, I never remember worrying as a kid. I remember worrying about stuff that you were doing or thinking about, but
or age appropriate, like
yeah,
school situation.
the only thing I would worry about, because growing up, my bedroom was, you had to cross the front door in order to get from my bedroom to sister's bedroom or my parents' bedroom. So when we were kids, sister liked to play a fun little joke on me where she would stare at me and look me dead in the face. And then she'd look behind me and start backing away as if there was something behind me that she could see that I couldn't. And she would say something like, okay, just move really slowly. And I would become petrified. And Christina, stop it, Christina. And it was a fun little joke. There's no one ever behind me. So when I would go to bed at night, I would get scared and I would have to run in front of the door in order to get to my parents' room, because I ended up sleeping in there quite a bit when I was little for no reason other than I scared myself. I wouldn't be able to just walk in front of the door. I had to run as fast as I could in front of the door because the boogeyman was definitely at the door waiting for me. But in the midst of running, I would trip over a vacuum that was left in the hallway. And then a dog that was also somewhere in the hallway. And then in my parents' room, there was a giant hearth. They built this giant, monstrous stone, full on stone 80s fireplace. I would run into that as well as I was trying to get to safety inside their bed.
I know that I was an intense older sister. I just fucked with you to no end, which now I look back and go, oh, that was so not cool. But I'm not saying there weren't spirits back there.
Oh, no, the house is haunted.
I think that even though that feels like the intention was to screw with you a little bit, I feel like I was always sensing energy in that house and I didn't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
If you're able to energetically put up your edge and allow that spirit to get where it needs to go, or at least be like, hey, if you're not healed and like here to visit me in the most enlightening alignment, I need you to find your way out the window. Mm-hmm. But as a kid, you don't know how to ask them to, you don't even think to talk to the spirits, and now when you talk to spirits, if that's what you do, you're like, it's a whole like another like dimension of relationship, which is so fucking cool. Back then, I didn't know that everything was always made to be like, you should fear that type of stuff rather than you like actually embrace and be of that. I'm human in a body that's doing its thing, but your body's wrapped around this beautiful soul. It's just another level of spirit energy. Like now I'm always like, oh, there's a gift there. Like, what's the gift? So when I'm imagining you looking at me, like going like, don't do this to me right now in the hallway, you awful big sister. And behind you, I was probably like, what to do with them? Part of it must have been a give and take. Because why wouldn't you torture your little sister? We had one of those relationships where you were definitely like, you came into my room and took out my Barbie doll mansion while I was at school. So
that makes sense. That tracks.
But then when you're in that house, there is some stuff that goes down, which is why I smudge the entire home. I feel it. And I'm also like coming in going, spirits of this land. Because I always think their house is a portal to something. And I just don't know if I want to go in the portal. So if it's not for me, I'm just like, let's put a special protective seal about me, my family, my car. Let us get in and out of here. Let's get in and out of here as just as much of ourselves as we can have back at the end of it.
I didn't realize that spirits could follow you out of where they were. We went on this trip to Charleston and we brought spirit sticks, right? Dawn gave us these spirit sticks. Of course, she hands them to me because I'm the one who's going to be like, oh yeah, we're going to go find some. Let's go find out what's going on. The guide who does these all the time in Charleston is haunted beyond haunted. Not necessarily good spirits haunting. I told him I brought the spirit sticks. He goes, okay, we're not going to take those out until I tell you. He goes, because we don't need anyone coming home with us tonight. And I went, huh? Like, Yeah, they'll follow you home. So we ended up going to the last spot where this one guy had a duel. Somebody shot somebody else, and the guy haunts this one walkway. And he's a doctor. I mean, he told us this whole story. And he's like, all right, go ahead and get the spirit sticks. And I pulled the spirit sticks out, and all of a sudden, one of them went whoosh. And I went, okay, we're just going to go ahead and put these away now. We're done. We're good. You don't need him coming back. He's obviously around. People see him. People actually see the spirit running through. Not always good ones.
We're going to go to your birthday present because you just reminded me. I know you don't necessarily go into what I gave you as a book to read, but you might take this journey. If you like the book I gave you, the next book you have to read is Phantasma. It is so good. When you open your present, the book I gave you, we'll talk about that. I feel like because you did that journey with your friend and you had this awesome experience, you girls really did have the best time. That book would be perfect to give all of you. Like if you need a girlfriend's group give, that would be, you all went there together. Yeah. You could read that book, and I feel like your sister wives and everyone with you would clamor onto it with all those juicy bits.
Sweet.
But Phantasma, okay, it is just the cherry on top of so many lusciousness things.
Tell us a little bit about these books that you're reading.
I have a dark, shadowy side to me that is just a sinister, just Hecate. And then I have this very light, angelic side of me. And I've noticed over the past, probably half a decade, I've been realizing how much I want to have both of them play all the time. Like they both get to play. Prior to that, it was always like the shadowy dark should stay hidden. And then the other side of me is like the one that's way more socially available to me. So just in that kind of stage of getting rid of my give a fucks, I'm like the Black Moon Lilith in me is going to play whenever she wants to play. So I've indulged for the last year in just the most just amazing book reading. It's all been fantasy, dark romance. I'm sure there's a place for this in my psyche of what I'm going through in life and where I'm at. I believe everything's synchronicities, and I'm learning what I'm learning right now for a reason. But my journey through these books has been so much fun and captivating. It's also been like an escape for me when I just need time to myself. So these books nourish me in my quiet time. It's by a window, reading, or sunbathing and reading in my pause to give myself what I need. So the one I gave you was not the first book I read. I read many, many books. I think I'm into I literally have filled, which was in your bedroom when you were a child. I have that bookshelf.
Wait, does it still have all the letters I put on it when I had my store?
Yeah. It also has some insignia, like scarlet letters in the back of this thing, etched like you're carving out your time in the cell. I know. There's more to you etching these things on the side of this bookshelf, which I'm glad I took out of the house because someone needs to keep it intact the way it was for you.
So when I was a kid, I pretended I had my own store inside my bedroom, and I would sit in there for hours. I would sell all of my books and my goods to my stuffed animals. I would go down to Long's Drugs, which is now CVS. Back in the day, when you went to the drugstore, you had an account. You didn't even have to bring money with you. You just put it on the tab. Poor daddy, when he would get that Long's Drugs bill, it was I don't even know. But I would go down there because we could walk downtown from the house. And I would buy these little receipt pages that you would get from the store. And I use those to actually give to the animals. I did tax. I did all of it. But some animals didn't have cash or check. They had to pay with a credit card. So I had a system of their name, and their receipts would go by their letter of their name. It makes total sense. And instead of just making it, I had to write an indelible marker on the wooden bookshelf in my room. It had slats on the side, like these little poles.
Yeah,
the knobs. And
they go all the way down.
So in between those knobs is where everyone's receipts would sit. I mean, it made total sense to me. So now sister has it in her house.
I was spray painting it a gold color and vintaging it a bit. It still has the notch, like little lines dug into it. It is the perfect fantasy book library because it tells a story in the shelves, not just the books. But
sure.
It is loaded with every book that I've been reading. I have this thing about paper books. I need to be touching them when I go anywhere. I need to be reading it. There are so many books right now that I'll go back to just to read chapter 55 or chapter 33 or whatever I want. They have this sacred space in the corner. And right now, our Yule Christmas tree is in front of it. Mm-hmm. And they're like, are you going to seriously leave the bookshelf there? There's a broom, there's the bookshelf, and then there's the tree. They keep looking behind it and they're just like, I can't believe we see books are behind the tree. Even I'm like, well, that's the only place that shelves. It actually, Maria, it can't move because one of the legs, clawed legs, right? Yes. It's like a clawed bathtub, but it's a clawed bookshelf, which is even cooler. One feet.
I think that was probably mommy's moms or like mommy's grandmothers, because remember my beds in my room, the twin beds, were her grandmothers.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure the mattresses were her grandmothers as well.
Yes. And right next to it is the dresser, the marble dresser that daddy refurbished and put the glass panels on.
Oh my.
They're right by each other. Yes. A piece of you is more in more ways than one, but that was from Sissy's bedroom.
That's amazing. Okay, I'm going to open the present.
Happy birthday. And I love what you posted about what your 45th year was for you and now what your 46th year is going to bring. That's like the best for a birthday.
You know what's funny, Christina? I wrote that after we had talked one day. Sister and I go into these deep dives in our conversations, and sometimes stuff comes up. We've both over the years been working really hard on just shit that's sitting there inside of you that you've got to work through and heal. I can't remember what we were talking about, but it was after I talked with you that I sat down and I was like, well, shit, this all just came up. And then I wrote it all down. Last night when I was going to bed, I'm like, you know what? I never post stuff like this. I'm posting it because I wrote it for a reason. I'm putting it out there. This is it. 45th year. This is a good one. I always felt it was going to be good. All right, here we go. The first thing I'm pulling out is The Magician Magic Hour.
Okay. So that company that you're now telling everybody that they should get, Magic Hour tea, is the fucking bomb. It's the most beautiful assortment of just possibilities to just be devouring and soaking into your beautiful body and aligning with your essence. And there are so many options for whatever you want as a tea. I love, love, love their teas, and I buy them and I share them. There's so many options. You have to go search for yourself because you can dive into that ocean of
this. I love what's in here. This one's Magic Hour, ginger, berry, vanilla, herbal tea for grounding, creating, and balancing with astragalus. Is that how you pronounce that?
I do not know, but let's say
we're going to go with that. Elderberry and dandelion. Oh, Christina, this is going to be so nice. I've been drinking so much tea lately. Yeah, I have it in the afternoons, and then I have a cup before I go to bed. Bath bombs.
Those are shower steamers. You drop them in the shower and just let it. I have this thing with sand and salt on my feet. I love the coarseness of the exfoliation, but those have a very aromatic, like, loveliness to them.
Self-love, lavender, geranium, and rose. And this one's relax. Ooh, I can smell the anise in it. This one is lavender, rosemary, and aniseed. Christina, these are cool.
Okay, so that company, online company, And I'm always looking for, I think one of my just ways of like filling my cup is to give just gifts. And I love gift giving, but I also love like adding in those little treasures. When I look for the treasures, I find those are the things I like think
That's
of. How
amazing.
do I nourish your body? Like give yourself all that love and smell and sensual, all the areas, right?
These are beautiful. I'm going to use this.
And they travel really well too.
So this next piece I asked for because I do this every New Year's Eve. So on New
Yes.
Year's Eve, I sage all the rooms. I get all the corners of the rooms. I go upstairs. Everyone's getting sage that's in the house. And then once it's in, then you open up all the windows, all the doors, and you let out all the negative energy and you start the new year fresh and vibrant.
Smudges.
My smudge. This is beautiful. And I got little crystals in here too. Magic. I'm going to put this in my little meditation table. That's where all the other ones are. And the candle you made me. This is cool, Christina. Is it okay if the feather burns? Like, am I going to burn down the house?
You could remove the ribbon. The feather can go somewhere gently. There's the dried flowers with it. They'll all burn. I think it's just being safe with how you burn it too. Like if you have like a shell or a dish or something that you lay it in, because it does spark and move around. You don't want the ember.
Abalone. I have an abalone shell.
Perfect. I love a smudge. And then I think too, like ceremonies and rituals, like it's so part of the process of going from where you're beginning and then after a whole ceremony or ritual, you're in a new space, a different person in a way. I love that you do that with your circle. It's so awesome.
Yes, no, it's forced on them when we go on trips. We always do something. We've done a goddess circle almost in the ocean. It was pitch black and we walked out into the rocks. The next morning when we looked out, the rocks were not there. We could have been swept out to sea in the middle of Massachusetts. We've done that. We also did it in a mountain cabin around a big fire pit. You had written us a poem or things to read. And then my wife's daughters were like, what is this? We want to get into it. Well, one Christmas, I gave them this box and it had all the things to make their own potions. And poor Tyler woke up one night and her daughter wasn't in the house. Her daughter had gone outside to the woods next to the house with her friend. She was like, Auntie Maria told us this is what we had to do. We had to go out into the woods and create magic and chant. Tyler's Maria.
I hope it was all safe.
It was so cute.
I hope that for every human that they just get into the woods and just find their wild, like grounded self.
Thankfully, they were fine. And so were the woods. Okay. In here, I know, right? And then this is a very thick book. I am not a fast reader. This is amazing. It is Quicksilver. Do not touch the sword. Do not turn the key. Do not open the gate. Do you want to do all these things as you're reading this book?
Hopefully you do touch a sword. You do all the things with the key and you do go right through that gate. It is so good. And that is one of those books where if you've read a bunch of this genre, you'll have read this before because that's kind of where you end up going. You just cannot get deep enough in the dive. You cannot siren and freaking take on the pirates. There's no boundaries for any of that thought process. Once you're in, you're in. But this book has that crescendo when you've read all these books, the roles of who you're reading about. It kind of just is such a great like bringing together of all of this badassness between a warrior and fierceness, and all of that there's no boundaries between who you are gender wise, who you are as far as capabilities, what your calling is truly it's of your own making and creation. Like you believe what you see for yourself. And if you don't, you just fall back. But if you push forward and keep believing in you, you push forward. And it's just such a cool book. And it is hot as fuck. I mean, you can't not, unless you don't like feeling that or talking about that. I get it. There's a lot of triggers and there are uncomfortable discussions or thoughts. But if you're in it for a ride, go. Just go.
So this is what it says. Never forget. Monsters thrive best in the dark. Commit all you read here to memory. Prepare for war. There's a pronunciation guide. I'm glad because I would have pronounced all of these people's names wrong. Zalvarian.
Yep.
Oh, there's no need. Oh, this is going to be fun, sister.
You know what I got for a Christmas present from my good friend, Karen?
No fucks to give.
It's a jar of fuck.
A jar of literal fucks. That is brilliant. A jar of fucks. Okay, and so good.
There's a little letter that comes with it. It's very long-winded as far as our moment here, but it is the most hilarious little letter that goes with the jar. So I'm like, oh, and I was thinking that's what I was going to bring to Auntie Sandy, Uncle Steve's. But then I
was going to give Auntie Sandy a jar of fucks.
Well, I'm always like, put your fucks in the cauldron. Just freaking do it. And then I'm like, I don't know if everyone would appreciate that on Christmas Eve dinner, but we went Italian cookie route instead. So
it's safer. It's a safer choice. The cookies are a safer choice.
Really.
So
but I love helping out the end of the.
So what are you doing for Christmas Day? Are mommy and daddy going to your place?
So we're going to wake up in the morning and do our morning routine. I think Noah's already prepping and mise en placing everything. I'm making one of the British baking shows. It's the snowflake, the cinnamon bread snowflake.
But it's gone viral.
Then I'm going to go on a walk tomorrow while it rises because it needs like 2 hours. Then I'm going to bake it tomorrow before we go to Sandy and Steve's and then just warm it up on Christmas morning because it's supposed to be warmed up.
Yeah.
And then I have all these delicious berries. I don't know what's happening right now because berries didn't taste very good like a month ago, but all of a sudden strawberries and raspberries are freaking delicious right now. We have the strawberries, raspberries, blueberries. We're going to do a berry salad and the cinnamon snowflake. Then I have all the cool stuff I want to have on the table. I've got the oranges. I've got the peonies. The peonies are wine colored red.
Oh, those are so pretty.
And they're just starting to open right now. And then I made a tablecloth because I was going to do just a cloth white, but then not that we are a messy family, but we are. I'm going to do just a white parchment. And then I glittered on these parchment brown black roses underneath a circle charger kind of shape. And I did all this glitter. The candles are green and gold candlesticks, which go with the green leaves of all the roses and the mandarins.
Yeah.
That are going to be. I have velvet peacock blue colored napkins. And I'm going to, which I'm so excited for. I wanted to put out my black owls with the red eyes as the napkin rings, but I only have 4 of them. Aubrey's okay with me not having enough so that I can't use them. She prefer me not to use those. They're just a little too for her and Noni. Noah's cooking an entire dinner and we picked out the chanterelle mushrooms and we were at Berkeley Bowl. Berkeley Bowl was a fucking junk show. It was so crazy.
Mess.
You can't like, there's no, it just people like, ooh, ooh, ooh. And everyone I'm always like, Merry Christmas. What a beautiful day. Thank you so much for passing me. And I'm right behind you. I'm right behind you. And there's so many people who are like, nope.
I don't care what you're doing. Mm-mm.
Well, there's so many people who are just making it through. I just need sour cream. And the lines are like 20 deep down the aisles, you know.
I'm going tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. I think on this trip to the grocery store, I will wear my giant headphones and just be in that space because I get such horrible anxiety going to the grocery store at the holidays. I hate it. So I get to do it on my time, what feels best to me. And that's how we're going to do it. I think I might need headphones tomorrow. Everyone said today was crazy at the grocery store. Crazy.
Right. we were coming, when we got there, we kind of like have the list and we do the whole thing. But it was really, I mean, for our family, it can be kind of a shit show because we all are definitely like, Noah has his goals and his like, I'm going to be in charge of this, is like, this is what we're doing. As when chef turns on and he's very methodical. And then the kids just cruise aimlessly through. So they're like, all they want to find is sushi and kombucha in whatever flavor they want. But then there's always like this like list of things that we forget, or we're in the line and we forgot horseradish and cocktail sauce. We can't make the prawns without it. That whole thing happens, but we were pretty chill today. Then you get up to the front of the counter today was so cool. I love when whoever's working, we cruised in front of them and we were like, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, the whole thing. They were just laughing. And it was two women leaning into each other. How many people have they had to deal with going through their register? And they were so sweet and lovely. And we were laughing. Noah's funny, so they're laughing at him. And they were just having the best time. I love that. If you could be laughing after seeing 200 people in there, probably more.
Probably more during the holidays. I also go to the grocery store and I have a strategic manner of which I go into the grocery store. I go outside this way, then through the vegetables and the produce, all the way around the outside because it's all the cold section and the freezer. Then I make my way into the aisles of dry goods, which are usually less than all the rest of the things in my cart. And after that, I make my way to the checkout.
Maria, if you were shopping with me, you would have seen me carrying blue eggs, Topo Chico, butter, and chanterelle mushrooms and pacing up and down aisles trying to find my family for 10 minutes straight, where I had to readjust the Topo Chico so that I could carry and not drop the blue eggs. And then I couldn't find them for all of that time. And you were with a group of people who are just salmon swimming upriver trying to find their home.
Yes.
And I finally saw Noah, and then I drop what I do, and then I go back out for the next four things. It's stressful.
I would have taken this up to the car and I would have said, I will be there. And just when you're done, come find me. I'll buy everyone coffee. That was a contribution to life right now.
Well, and I actually see that as being very valuable, because if you are the one who's just in the car and you're just doing the thing that keeps you the most at peace, I feel like if everybody over the holidays just chose to do the thing that kept them most at peace, everything would still get done. Mm-hmm. It's when your thing that gets you the most at peace is going with the person who's not at peace, and you try to do the same thing or the same store or the same drive, and everyone has, it's a conflict of interest. Like, yes, everybody should say, I am good at this. Do not take me over to your world. I respect what you need, but we're not going to do it at the same time. And then I bet everything would happen faster. You'd be like, I'm in the car. I've got the engine running. I'll drop you off and go find a parking space. That's a great
job for me. I could do that.
Where someone else could be like, hey, I've got this thing called going to the bank under control.
Yeah.
I'll take on that today.
I don't like taking the kids with me if I don't have to. If I don't have to take them with me, I will do it all on my own.
I found this was funny when we were in the city getting the cookies. Depending on who's in the car as the parent, the kids act a different way, right?
Yes.
When they're in the car with me, it is kind of free for all. I wish they were babies still and were strapped in. It was so much easier when they didn't move in the car seat. But since they're 11 and 8, I get it. That's not how it's going to be. Noah wants them still to be in the car seat. So when he's in the car with the kids and I'm not there, the seatbelt the whole time. The second Noah went in to get the cookies, they were like, Rochambeau, give me next, give me no. Rochambeau, climb. Leaning against, pulling the hair, the whole thing. And then Noah's coming back in and he opens the car door. He's like, why is everyone out of their seatbelt? And I was like, there's only one answer. Me. I'm the reason why they're not in their seatbelt. And I was like, I'm telling them not to. And then part of me is like, but they're not, wild animals in a way. I guess they are, though.
They are 100% wild animals, Christina. They all are.
They can't contain all of the things. And Aubrey just is wanting to be out of the car so bad. No. Oh, I'm so glad we're done with that part of the day. That was
all
so
done.
Oh, you know who's calling right now?
Mama.
Mommy's calling.
Mary's calling right now. Of course she is. Who else will call in the middle of our podcast? I'm going to let you go because the boys want to say happy birthday.
Oh, okay. I love you, Maria.
Oh, I love you, sister. Love you, love you, love you. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for being here.
I love you.
Love you. Thank you so much for joining me today on She's Smart. New episodes drop every Thursday. Don't forget to subscribe and share. Stay cozy.